Okay, good evening, everyone. I don't know if I'm starting aggressive, but I'll talk anyway. Welcome to our monthly members oils group on our deep dive into hair loss and hair regeneration. My name's Kerry. For anyone that doesn't know me, I am what am I? Lots of things. I'm a Reiki healer. I'm studying Ayurveda, and I am a mum of two. I'm grateful that I've not really had any issues with baldness. I did lose a lot of hair when my children were postpartum, so I don't know, 6 to 12 months old, I guess. It felt like it was coming out in handfuls, and what we will speak about tonight will probably explains why that probably happened. So yeah.
And my name is Cressida. So I actually have, this is quite a personal topic for me. So I've had some significant hair loss a couple of times. And I guess, so I've been using Young Living for 18 years. So it's been a long time. And one of the things that I have realized is that there really just seems to be an answer for everything. And when you actually look into a bit of the research, and I'm a real research nerd, as I know that Kerry is too, is that the oils are the original medicine. And so really when we're looking for solutions to things, often things are like actually based on plants, and we've already got the plants at home. We don't have to get a prescription for them. So it's super awesome. And I know in this society, our hair and skin and, appearance is really valued. And whether you feed into that or not, there is something about our ego that's attached to our appearance, and often our hair has a lot to do with that. And I certainly know that the few times that I've lost my hair significantly, this is not related to that normal loss with child just after having children, but really mine were to do with other issues, which we'll go into a bit later on. It really kind of can be a bit of a shock to your system. And so there's lots of things that we can do, and we'll really dive into a bit of the all of that sort of now. I think Kerry's going to show us the resources that we actually tweaked last time we did this talk. You can screen share, right, Kez?
I can. First of all, though, I want you to just grab an oil if you're here or if you're on the recording, because often we just bolt to be here, or we do 65 things before we sit. So I won't keep you long, and it's not going to be a big meditation or anything, but just pop an oil in the palm of your hands, move your hands together a little bit just to activate it. And if you haven't done a scent tent before, just cup your hands over your nose, close your eyes if you want to, and just really breathe that oil in. Take your breath really deep down into your belly. And just notice how you feel. You might notice the smell of the oil, or you might notice you're holding tension in your shoulders and you want to give them a little wiggle. Might want to plant your feet on the earth or the floor or somewhere. Just really feel the support of the chair underneath you if you're sitting, or the floor if you're standing. And just for a couple of breaths, just really focus on the inhale and the exhale. And you might want to pause at the bottom of the inhale. And this is just a really simple way just to reset your system and come back to your body, because so often during the day we are doing a lot of different things, and we may just bounce from one to the next. So the beautiful thing about oils is they can just help us to sort of slow down and connect in just a simple act of a scent tent. And when you're ready, just open your eyes and we'll talk about hair loss and hair regeneration. So as you know, being part of our oily community, you are blessed with resources. And can you see this?
Is anyone waiting? Sorry, someone just messaged me to try and jump on.
In the waiting room.
Is she in the waiting room?
I can't see it. Sorry.
There's no one in the waiting room at the moment.
Okay.
She might be waiting for a different Zoom.
Has she got the link for this one?
Yeah. I'll send it again.
That's annoying.
It says it's, as you can see, monthly oils group.
It should work.
waiting for the host to start.
Oh, that's not the right link.
Monthly oils group.
Is she in the members resources page?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Right, it's okay. I'll
keep talking. So, being in the Star Anise community, you are blessed to have resources like nowhere else, I think. And hopefully you know how to access it if you just go to staraniseorganic.com and you click on essential oils, and then you can go to the members resources page. And I probably should share my screen as I'm doing this. And then you go to the 101 guide, which is right here. So you can view or download. So once you log in, you come to this page, view or download the 101. Hello. Anyway, and you will, oh, my screen has frozen.
I can't see your screen.
No,
Karen.
everything has frozen. Just a moment.
Okay.
Sorry. I've got nothing. Can you hear me?
Let me just see if I can pull it up. It all seems to be a little bit of technical difficulties tonight, doesn't it? 1 second. Oh, hang on, someone's coming in. Mine is downloading. Kez, is yours it's just frozen for me. Are you got anything happening? Are you frozen? Oh, Kerry's frozen too. This is cool. Let me see if I can overpower her. I'm gonna stop her screen share. Please don't judge me about how many tabs that are open. Okay. Oh no. Okay. Can you see this screen? A thumbs up if you can see it. Great. Okay. So we're in Swirler's resources. And then if we go down to the, what's that called? A table of contents. It is hyperlinked. So if you scroll down, and obviously for this one, we're going to be looking for hair, which is right here, hair loss and regeneration. Kerry got booted out, just letting her back in. And if you click on it, it will take us to this page. Now, we are not actually going to read this page to you because I'm going to assume that everybody knows how to read. So if you do have any questions on it, you're absolutely welcome to ask, and we will have time for questions at the end. There's lots of information here that we have updated only relatively recently, but we thought it would be helpful to just go over some other things. So I'm just going to stop screen sharing unless anyone has a question. If you have a question, can you do the little hands up thing or just jump in and say something? Otherwise, I'm just going to stop that. Let's see, has Kerry come back?
Yes. I'm back. Sorry.
Back. She's back. And we might actually just get started. Do you want me to jump in, Kez, with the beginning bit?
Yeah, go for broke.
Okay, so I've got some notes here because I don't want to forget to say anything. And so just a little bit about some of the causes of hair loss. So some of them are a little bit surprising. And I always like when I redo a topic to actually go back and do a bit more research. And I found things that I had not discovered when I did the talk last year. So one of them I'll talk about. So for me personally, the hair loss that I have experienced, aside from just a little bit post-pregnancy, which was not really a big deal, was I had some hormonal issues. And so for me, actually balancing my hormones has been a huge, big thing. I had a lot of hair loss in this region here, and I've always had a big forehead. And I do sometimes look at photographs from when I was younger just to see if it's getting any bigger. I always like to tell my brother that it was room for my big brains, but essentially I've really always had a massive forehead. But I got the hair loss in these regions here. And so that thinning in that region is often hormonal, and it's usually related to androgen, so the male type of hormone. And so I am going to talk about it a lot because pretty much anyone who's been in this group will know that I love the Dutch hormone test. And I just think it is the most profound test for testing your hormones. And so I know some people are not. I kind of run this whole gamut of super woo-woo, and I like to back it up with science as well. So if you're going to test your hormones, I have had plenty of saliva tests. For me, they don't give anywhere near the same amount of information. So I'm just going to say, you do what you do. I'm not your doctor, but or your medical consultant. But for me, the Dutch test is the way to go. And so for me, the hair loss was related to hormone issues. But also you can get it, which I'm experiencing at the moment. I was very sick about 4 months ago. I came back from overseas and I collapsed in a heap, which often happens when you go on holidays, when you've been a bit overworked. And so at the moment, which is about 3 or 4 months later, I'm having quite significant hair loss. Now, that is really normal post a virus. So a lot of people were always talking about the post-COVID hair loss, but it's pretty normal for any virus, and also for any kind of respiratory virus, you can also lose your sense of smell. So in that regard, it's not really something to freak out about. We know that our hair and our skin reacts once we've been sick or affected by stress, or because it is something that is not essential to life. So the first thing that our body is going to cut off when it is struggling is hair, because it's not essential to life, not really a big deal. So just a reminder that it can feel a little bit alarming when you're getting huge chunks of hair come off in the shower. And actually my husband cleaned out the drain last night. It was pretty horrific. So sorry for that, but just knowing that it is pretty normal. But some of the things I'd like to share with you that I was surprised about were these things. So these are some of the things that can also cause hair loss. And I think some of them might surprise you. So statins. A lot of people obviously know post-pregnancy, which is usually to do with a bit of nutrient depletion. Antidepressants, beta blockers, obviously chemotherapy medications. We're all kind of across that and seen that before. Roaccutane, anti-dandruff shampoo, dry shampoo, crash diets or fasting, using dermal fillers in your face can actually make you lose your hair, and heavy metal poisoning. So these are kind of some of the things that I actually thought, wow, these are alongside the things like just stress. Obviously, we've got some, what's the word, Kerry, like hereditary
genetic predisposition.
Yep, thank you. And also depending on how we've been living and looking after ourselves. So some of the options that the medical community use for it are what they call JAK inhibitors. So there's a new drug that's been approved by Pfizer. It's been approved from 12-year-olds and older, and they are actually looking for it to be used for under 12-year-olds. This is for alopecia, which is an autoimmune condition of hair loss. Now, the black box for this, like the black box warning or whatever they call it in the prescription boxes, in the box in America, so might cause serious infections, mortality, so death, malignancy, cancer, major adverse cardiovascular events, not something I want, and thrombosis, so blood clots. I think I'd rather be bald, to be honest. I don't know about you. Hi, Bo. And then also another thing that they will use on your scalp. So dermatologists often will recommend prescription strength corticosteroids in a liquid form, which they'll apply to your scalp. And that has some serious side effects as well. Thins the skin. It can also cause scalp irritation that might lead to a rash, a red or puffy face. And also if you take it orally, because this would be for an autoimmune condition of hair loss, it can make your, obviously suppresses your immune system, which is the purpose of it when they're using it for autoimmune things. So I thought that was really kind of a little bit alarming that these are the side effects of the medications that they're using for hair, because as we said, or despite the fact that it makes us feel good about ourselves and it can keep us warm and, you know, it's fun to style sometimes, we don't really want to be dying to have hair on our head. So I guess probably just coming back to all the natural solutions that are available to us. And the great thing is that there are a ton of them. So I'm going to go over a few of the things within like the Young Living, I guess, arena. And then Kerry's going to jump in with all her Ayurveda stuff and her perspective. We're going to keep it like an open conversation. If you've got questions, please drop them in the chat and we'll have time for questions afterwards. But we just wanted to, just kind of start. I wanted to start off with that because I actually think it's really alarming and incredible that people would even try those things, but maybe they don't realize. But anyway, so hair is, as we said, non-essential to life. So you really require a lot of nutrients to have, you know, that glossy hair. If you're run down, if you're not looking after yourself, it really will take a bit of a toll. There are particular nutrients that are that we are told that sort of help with hair. Obviously, having an appropriate diet for your body type. When I say for your body type, I say, for example, and where you are in your life. For me, when I was younger, I was vegetarian for a while and I kind of tolerated it okay then. But at this point in my life, I have quite a meat-heavy diet because I've had also my large intestine removed. And so I really need to make sure that I'm getting a dense form of nutrients. And so just noting that, and I know Tanya will be really into this as well, she's doing a master's in nutrition, is that our nutrition needs change over our life. So they are different when we're pregnant. They're different when we're getting older. We need to just follow that along and treat our body differently at different times. But essentially, when we're talking about a appropriate diet, it's about what's right for you. There is obviously a which is mentioned in the resources, what is the word that I'm looking for? I can't get my words today, but there is a structure. We are all pretty much whole food advocates, so really encouraging you to eat nutrient dense foods that come directly from nature and as less processed as possible. When we look at the way that hair grows, it grows inside the follicle, grows out of the head. But once the hair is past the surface of the skin, it's not alive anymore, it's dead, but it stays in our hair for a period of time. And we definitely have a length of time that it grows for. You know, some people can never grow their hair past sort of shoulder length. It doesn't happen. And then some people have these really long flowing locks. That's actually can be just predetermined and sometimes can be just according to your health at the time. One thing that's really important for hair is actually your hydration levels as well. I skipped over the minerals that I mentioned and then I didn't say what they were, but zinc and biotin, making sure that you've got adequate protein. All of us love the Bloom supplement which is actually really a supplement. It's not something that you necessarily have to have every day unless you feel that you're lacking in that area. Personally, because of my my health and that I don't have a large intestine, I actually do have it most days because I find that that's the way that I feel the best. And you'll find that your hair, skin and nails are all kind of related to the same sort of growth cycle. So when your when your skin is looking its best, your nails will be, thick and strong, and so will your hair. It kind of all seems to follow in the same pattern. And they are often something that really also reflects, that whole idea of your external, the way that you look externally reflects your internal health. And so often it can actually be a sign if something's going wrong for you, is just if you're starting to lose hair, you think, oh, what's going wrong? What have I missed? Am I missing some nutrition? Am I not looking after myself properly? Synthetic chemicals, one that people often don't think about is chlorine in pools can actually be really damaging for our hair. And actually, I just looked at you, Galinda, and I'm going to say being in the ocean all the time can be a little bit damaging on our hair, and we need to make sure that we're hydrating it after that. So not saying that going in the ocean is bad for you at all, but just that it means that we might need to take a little bit of extra care. If you're in chlorine pools all the time, we can use things like a vitamin C spray. So you're really just going to put some ascorbic acid in a spray bottle, make sure it's a dark spray bottle, fill it up with water, keep it in the fridge. But as soon as you get out of the chlorine pool, or if you are very affected by it and you don't have a filter at home, like a shower filter, then spraying it over your hair and skin after a swim or the shower, and leaving it on for a few minutes before you wash it off actually deactivates the breaks down the chlorine. Deactivate, don't know where that came from, breaks down the chlorine, and can just help us from absorbing all of that, as can applying an oil before you get in the pool, or like an oil treatment to your hair. So that's another one that we sort of often don't think about. In terms of, micronutrient deficiencies, that's really making sure that you eat properly. If you have things like genetic SNPs that make it harder to absorb nutrients, making sure that you get tested for that, and where you see fit, supplementing, if that's something that you that aligns with your thinking. Carrie's laughing here. I'm laughing because I've got MTHFR genetic SNP, so it's just a bit of a difference. So does Kerry. I supplement. She doesn't like supplements. So that's why I'm laughing. And that's just the different thing. You've got to do what suits you. Also too, what are we thinking about? So hydration, post-pregnancy, thinking about actually how you style your hair. So trying not to have it, pulled back too tightly, not using hair dryers and hair straighteners and things like that. Making sure that you really have that solid nutrient dense diet, including sort of all of the food groups where that works for you. I like to use the Bloom collagen, but I also use the Gel Pro. I use both, and I also have broth and slow cooked meats, because for me, I'm like, I really want to. I actually just went to the eye specialist today, and she said I had the cellular age in my early 40s, and I'm in my late 40s, and I thought, I can do better next time. So all of these are kind of ways to really improve, and it's just, I guess, probably thinking about your system as a whole rather than just thinking about your hair, because when you're taking care of yourself in this way, you're just going to improve your entire system. So it's super awesome. Exercise is important. Lymphatic flow is important. I'm going to let Kerry jump in with stuff, and then I've got a few things to add in afterwards.
So I'm just going to add a teeny tiny little Ayurvedic perspective on the hair loss thing. For those of you who aren't familiar with Ayurveda, there are 3 main doshas that people are sort of generally aligned with, one more than the other. Generally, you have a dominant one, and you may or may not have others. The one related mostly to hair is Pitta, and Pitta is fire and water, so it's a heat dosha. So Pitta men are more likely to go bald than any other dosha, because they have so much heat within their body. It essentially burns the hair off their head, whereas Pitta women menstruate monthly, so that's how they can really reduce their heat. So if you are into that or want to know more about that, you can talk to me. But so things that can support those people is sort of cooling activities and cooling foods. So Chris spoke about meat, and meat is quite heating. So if you are eating meat and you are losing hair, I wouldn't go full carnivore, because that's a lot of heat for your body to hold. And slow cooked meats and things like that are much better option than, a barbecued steak or things like that. Anything red foods are hot or heating. So if you think about tomatoes and chilies and things like that, so you can just dial back on those and think about the cooling, things like green leafy and things like that. And the other interesting thing is, often with Ayurveda, hair and nails are part of the dhatu, that is bone. So there are 7 levels of tissue nourishment that go 7 levels deep in Ayurveda, and if you have, the deepest one is the male and female reproductive organs. So if you've got issues there, you know that you need to work on your digestion, because the nutrients aren't getting deep enough. Bone is in the middle. So if there's challenges with your hair and you can't sort of work it out with other ways, have a look at your agni or your digestion. And there's plenty of ways you can do that just through looking at, you know, your stools, your waste, sweat, stool, urine, yeah, things like that. So that's another interesting.
You and I have spoken about the tongue. Your tongue's a really good
indicator. Oh yeah, you can look at your tongue,
right?
But yeah, depending on how your tongue's looking, if you have a pitta imbalance, your tongue is generally quite red as well. And interestingly, I don't know if it's not really related to hair, but skin conditions are also due to too much heat on the inside, and it just breaks out through the skin. So
That's a question, Kerry.
Mm.
Is the heat in Ayurveda related to inflammation in the body, or is it a different concept?
So inflammation is a pitta imbalance, because it's a build-up of heat. And, you know, there's a lot you can go into depending on your dominant dosha, your imbalance, and also the stage of life. So the pitta stage of life is between 16 and 50. That's when there is the most heat. It's when girls start to menstruate. It's often when you know, sort of go the hardest in life. There's a lot going on. So that's where there's all that excess heat. And you can tolerate more of it, I guess, but it also does imbalance more easily, if that makes sense.
And sorry, Kerry, you spoke about food and digestion as a way to manage that pitta, the heat. Are there also like lifestyle factors to do that? Like, I mean, could you do something that would be cooling?
Absolutely. Yes. So, you know, rhythms and routines of the day and the season. So if, and this could be a whole talk in itself, but essentially the moon is cooling, the sun is heating. So if you are looking for cooling practices, don't go and exercise in the middle of the day in summer. It's not good for, and the pittas are the ones that will, because they're driven and they just want to go. And, you know, walking barefoot on the grass, swimming in the ocean, things like that are really cooling practices. Lots of breath work to cool that one where you breathe through your curled up tongue. If you try that, you can feel how cool the air is. And walking under the moon, or even gazing at the moon, getting out under the full moon is really cooling and really nourishing as well. So coconut water is another one. It's quite cooling.
I have to ask you, because I know you hate cucumber. Is cucumber a cooling food?
It is. I'd rather be hot and bald.
And okay, so I know that you love using peppermint oil to cool down when you're hot. Would that be another example of just helping to dissipate that heat?
Absolutely. Yep.
Right.
So any oils that cool, and I guess we'll go into that a little bit more in a minute for regenerating hair, but rosemary is another one that's had, you know, massive support. There are Ayurvedic oils that you can add to like a scalp massage, and there's beautiful Ayurvedic treatments as well. And interestingly, if you can tolerate it, dairy products are really good for hair, but have either raw or non-homogenized milk, and heated and spiced actually makes it easier for you to digest. So I'll leave it at that. There's a lot more on that, but
sorry, and I know you make your milky chai spiced thing that you've given me a lot and I love. Is that actually boiled milk, or it's just heated?
Yeah, so it is. You boil it
Right.
for a good few minutes, so it kind of puffs up in the pot and then goes back down, and that essentially removes any impurities. And the process of heating with spices means that the spices help your body to digest and absorb it. And a fun fact, because I can't help myself, is that milk turns into ojas within 12 hours, whereas every other thing that we consume takes 36 hours to be turned into.
And ojas, for people who don't study Ayurveda?
Ojas, sorry, is this beautiful liquid gold that nourishes our system. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so coconut, cooked apples and cabbage are really beneficial Ayurvedically for hair support.
And does that relate to all types of hair loss? So, or this is really just for supporting growth of hair, no matter what is the cause of the hair loss?
Yeah, that's in general. So obviously, if you're mineral deficient, looking at your calcium, magnesium, and zinc levels are important.
Mhm.
And I think that's, you know, whether you're taking it from an Ayurvedic standpoint or not. Yeah, and I think, like you said, the Dutch test is really, you know, supportive to that too. That way, at least you know what you're dealing with and you can work with the symptoms more quickly and more specifically as well. Yeah.
I might just jump in with a little bit of information about the Dutch test. I know we've spoken about it before, but just why it's so good in this particular, for this particular purpose. So when you do a saliva test or a blood hormone test, you're really looking at a snapshot of time. When you do the Dutch test, which is a urine test, you get a little pack in the mail and you have, it's like litmus paper essentially, and you urinate on it depending on what during certain days of your cycle, or if you don't cycle, then there's also instructions to do that. You send it off and it still goes to a lab in America, so it takes agonizingly long to get the results. But what happens is not only do you get actually the picture of the hormones over that day, but you also get what happens downstream from those hormones. So for example, which is what I really love to tell people, is all of the blood tests and saliva tests that I'd had actually showed that my hormone levels were normal. When I did the Dutch test, and it was actually at a very similar time, I had asked my naturopath to whether she could get access to the test for me. And interestingly enough, she had actually just started the practitioner program with the company to be able to interpret it properly. So it must be interpreted properly. Otherwise, it's not really going to be that helpful to you. But I had, and this was done when I was in my early 40s. Actually, I might have been in mid-late 30s. So I had very low hormone levels, and I had so the estrogen that I had was only the type of estrogen that encourages the growth of cancers, breast cancer and uterine cancer. And that was what I was ending up with at the end of the metabolism of because all of your hormones need to be metabolized by your body before they're moved through. And so I was only ending up with that downstream pathway. I wasn't actually getting any of the good estrogen that gives you, good skin and gives you, juiciness and, the bone strength and all those kind of things that can be an issue for postmenopausal women sometimes. So I was menstruating regularly, but I had very low, they said it was postmenopausal low when you compare it to other women, but I had a slightly higher level of this bad estrogen, if you like, left at the end. And then I had high androgens, so higher male hormones in relation to, what's the word? Not ratio, in proportion to the female hormones. And then my progesterone was almost non-existent. So one of the big things that caused me to do this test was, number one, the hair loss, but number two, I just was not sleeping. And there was nothing I could do to fix my intractable insomnia. So changing the hormones, enjoy your puppy, sorting out my hormones really made a huge difference. But there's no way, and my mum had breast cancer, which wasn't the cause of her death, but she did have breast cancer. And so for me, seeing those results and understanding that I could work on that made a huge difference. And so I'm just going to talk about Simone Jamie is a practitioner in our community, and she actually does the Dutch hormone test. She just gave me, she wasn't able to attend tonight because she's got a family thing, but I'm going to pop her website in the chat in a moment, but she offers a free 15-minute introductory chat, which can be booked through her website. She does all functional lab testing, including the Dutch test, gut testing, and heavy metals. And she is particularly interested in supporting people who are struggling with autoimmune issues. Just that's her particular interest, but she does everything as well. Does Emily do the Dutch test?
Not routinely, but she'll do bloods on different days of your cycle. So if it's hormones, so she works with that GPs.
Yep.
Like just a different price point, I guess. Yeah. So she'll do screen bloods different days of your cycle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think she's not routinely doing Dutch.
That's cool. So Simone, I will pop that in the chat there. So she is available for that free intro chat. And I think I'll just leave that for you to jump in with a bit, Kerry.
Yep. So I guess if we jump to treatment, otherwise, we touched on, traditional nutrient-dense whole foods diet, obviously. Lots of broth, which is collagen rich, which is great for regeneration, and organ meats, livers. I just still don't love livers, but anyway. And meats high in connective tissue. So, all your beautiful slow cooked meats on the bone and things like that. And oysters are really good as well. And then, as Chris mentioned before, collagen rich foods. So Gel Pro do the beautiful collagen hydrolysate, and Young Living does the incredible Bloom collagen, which is marine collagen, isn't it, Chris? And then, eat your rainbow of vegetables. Eggs are unsung heroes. They're also try and get pasture raised eggs so that they've got all the good stuff in them. If you can't eat organic and pesticide free, make sure you are using the Thieves Fruit and Veggie Soak. Interestingly, I had a member recently sign up with the Fruit and Veggie Soak, and they hadn't been buying organic. They just got their things from the supermarket. They had family come over and they're like, oh, have you been to a farm or something this week? This fruit and veg is so good. And they're like, no, it's Woolworths, but we use this awesome stuff. So the whole family is now using the Fruit and Veggie Soak. Ningxia Red and goji berries are antioxidant rich. So they are beautiful and so supportive for all growing systems, but in particular, hair, and also really good for eyes. Pepitas, and Young Living does a vanilla and lemongrass green tea, and green tea is really good for hair growth as well. I know Chris spoke about hydration, and filtered water with a pinch of salt to put the minerals back in is great. If you don't have a water filter, I know Sula has a discount code with the Water Shop, so reach out to her for that, or just mention her name if you speak to them. And another huge one, which we probably haven't spoken about enough, but is super important, is managing your stress. We digest everything we're exposed to, not just what we put in our mouth. So if you do a little life assessment and notice that there are a lot of things around that are really keeping that nervous system in the fight or flight stage, you don't get a lot of time to regenerate. And also, whatever time you're going, have a look at, what time you're getting up, what time you're going to bed, things like that. From an Ayurvedic perspective, you want to be in bed by 10 p.m. because from 10 till 2 is, here I go again, but it's the pitta stage of the evening, and that's like deep cellular repair. So if you're staying up too late, you're missing that optimal time for your system to really kick in and clean up the cells and grow hair and all sorts of things. So other ways of managing your stress, obviously using the oils, Peace and Calming, Stress Away, and Tranquil are three that are really beautiful for the nervous system. Cortisol, thanks. And then regular meditation or breathing practice is so good. I meditate. I'm working on twice a day at the moment, but definitely once without fail, and it's changed my life. So if you need help with that, please reach out, because it's very, very important. Get out in nature. We are nature. So the more you can do that, that helps support your stress. As Chris mentioned, movement, and have fun. Like, find things that you love to do. Bring back your joy. It not only raises your vibration, but it helps your cells to shine as well. Other oils, I mentioned Stress Away and Peace and Calming and Tranquil. There's chamomile, which is a really calming one. Vetiver is very grounding. The grounding blend is very grounding, funnily enough, and beautiful lavender. But I mean, gosh, I use so many different oils to manage stress as well. I love orange at the moment, sacred frankincense, white angelica are all sort of within my grasp, like literally within my grasp. So just find your favorites and use them. They're no good in the bottle if you don't use them. Do you want to talk about Young Living supplements, other ones, Chris?
Can I go to some oils first?
Go for it.
So for topical application to the scalp, there are lots of things that have been studied. So rosemary essential oil has actually been studied to be as good as, and I'm going to have to read it so I don't get it wrong. So that because I'm not really familiar with the with chemical medical things. So minoxidil, which I think is that rogaine, or it used to be sold as rogaine. So it's actually the hair growth thing. The hair growth, it was used to be marketed to men mostly, but women use it as well now. And actually, I have heard that apparently some people use it for their eyebrows. I didn't look up the side effects of that one, but I'm tipping they're not good. But rosemary oil, equal to in a proper double-blind placebo study. So that's pretty awesome. Just noting, so in the resources, there are a lot of oils that we've spoken about for actually making your own serum. If you need help with that, feel free to reach out. But really what we're thinking about is actually making sure that we have circulation in the scalp. So once the hair stops growing from the follicle, you've got 2 years that it stays like technically alive for before it actually can shrink or die off. So once it has sort of shrunk or died, you actually will not be able to grow hair back from there. So you do have a period of time from when you, or if you experience hair loss. But what you really want to do in that period of time is make sure that you're working on it. So you want to be massaging your scalp. And I know Kerry and I was speaking before, which I'll let her say, I'm not going to steal her thunder, about other things that help. So I'm just leave that there. So massaging your scalp, using these oils that will actually help to bring circulations. So peppermint, cedarwood, rosemary. You also want to make sure that you don't have any fungal condition on your scalp, making sure that you're not using an antifungal shampoo. Like it's actually the Selsun Blue was the one that was studied, actually causes hair loss. And there's an indication that maybe too much selenium can cause hair loss. So, it's really interesting just keeping track of things. I do believe I actually like doing, not super regular, but doing some health checks from time to time just to see where you're at, if it's possible for you. Because, I just think, get in front of the problem. Don't wait until after it starts. I like using the Jade hair comb, but there's also a Brio head massager. The new version now has a red light on it, which is really great for your scalp as well. I like to make a hair serum and I apply it at nighttime, and then I'll wash it out the next day. Do wear a towel over your pillow, you know what I mean? Or the Mira hair oil you can use in that same way. I like to make it a bit punchier with I really want to feel it kind of tingling on my scalp, not sort of, too extremely, but I really like to feel like I'm doing something. So just making sure you don't have any kind of fungal issue, making sure you're not leaving your hair wet when you go to bed all the time, which is not great for your hair. And also, I think we've gone over the stress management and sleep, and also thinking about your lymphatic system. So making sure that we are, that we have great lymphatic flow. If you're someone, I know Kerry loves to go to the kinesiologist, if you like to go to an osteopath, or even just waking up and doing like the lymphatic pump, but you need to, if you do dry body brushing, all of that can help hair growth. Now I know some people are going to pop in and say, but I'm a man, and it is reported that if you are a man who experiences hair loss, it actually can mean that you're more virile. So there are, I guess, positives to it. I mean, I know that we've got a few. My husband has a friend who had, when I first met them when they were like in their early 20s, he had already shaved his hair off because he had lost so much hair. I can't speak to his virility. I don't ever want to because he's not my husband. But just knowing there are other things. And then I just really can't wait for Kerry to say the next thing. So I'm going to get quiet. Go, Kerry.
I don't know what I'm meant to be saying.
You do. We said about it before. Yoga positions.
Oh, yeah. There's different yoga positions that you can do for relieving pressure and for tension in the neck, which increases the circulation in your head. So, and Chris picked it. It's anything that is on your shoulders. So shoulder stands, the camel, the cobra, cow poses, and spinal twist. So, there you go. I'd forgotten that we spoke about that. And then in terms of supplements that Young Living offer, There are many and they are spectacular. If you haven't tried them, gosh, you've got a gift at your fingertips, and yeah, highly recommend. Probably not all at once, but and the other thing with the Young Living supplements is, you know, get one, try it, take it in its duration, and then have a little rest and notice how you were before and after it. But Young Living have mineral essence, which is 60 trace minerals. It's insane, in royal jelly, and it's really interesting. Many people don't like the taste of it, but I really love it, so I just pop it under my tongue. If you try that, let me know, and if you want to kill me, I didn't suggest it. Lots of people will put their mineral essence in their Ningxia Red and drink it that way, but I like my Ningxia unflavored with minerals, so I'm happy just to hit the minerals and then chase with Ningxia. Young Living makes two different capsules. One is sulfazyme, which used to be very prevalent in the soils, but modern farming practices now have sort of evolved in such a way that there's not a lot of sulfur in the soil, or not as much as there was. So it's really good to supplement with this. And sometimes I just rotate it through the regime for a little while. Sometimes if I feel like I need it more, I'll keep it going. But it's really essential for protein bonds, and particularly keratin in the hair, skin and nails. So that is the humdinger of hair, skin and nail support. And then there's another one called BLM, which is stands for bones, ligaments and muscles. I don't know as much about that one, Chris. Do you?
Well, it is. It's got lots of MS. It's a MSM. No, the other one's got the MSM in it. Look, I don't know the difference between them.
Anyway, it's in the supplements talk, so go look at that. And then Young Living also have the beautiful Life 9 probiotics, which are great to just repopulate the gut and balance everything out there. Fun fact with those, if you take a course, have it before bed, not in the morning. And then zinc I can never say it right, picolinate, yeah, picolinate, and Thorn and Biotrace are good brands for that. Silk pillowcases. Do you have a silk pillowcase, Chris?
Yeah, that one came from me. I love my silk pillowcase. It just really reduces the friction, and so beautiful. Yeah, it's a good one.
Do you slide off?
It's pretty easy to come by these days.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
And then we've got, as Chris mentioned before, just minimize the amount of heat you do for styling, and don't tie your hair back too tightly. The Young Living conditioner is really beautiful as a leave-in conditioner, and I quite often do it because I swim in the ocean a lot too, and my ends get very dry. So I would just put some in, and just leave it, and it sometimes works as a styling product as well, particularly if you've got lots of frizz and things like that. And the Mirror hair oil, as Chris mentioned, is really beautiful. You can put that in damp hair as well, and it's got black spruce, geranium, orange, lavender, sage, ylang ylang and rose in it. It's so lush. And then our community has a couple of beautiful low tox hairdressers, so you can see those people in the members resources page. They're amazing. And I'll let you talk about scalp serums because that's your domain.
Look, I would not overthink it. I would look at the products that that the oils that you've got at home related to the ones that are listed on that sheet there. I would highly encourage you to include a couple of things. I would include pumpkin seed oil. It has been shown to help with hair growth and block DHT, which is the male androgen, which can cause hair loss. Actually, when I did that last year, I've gone through and listed why all of the oils are beneficial. So I encourage you just to have a look at that. If you need any help formulating one, just shoot me a message on Instagram and I will help you out with that. It's super easy. Don't overthink it. You obviously want to be mindful. If you have super sensitive skin, you just want to go slowly. I often will do things like make it, and as I said, leave it in either overnight. Sometimes it stays in there for a few days before I get a chance to wash it out. You do usually need to do 2 shampoos if you leave that oil in. I love castor oil in there. That's really great for hair growth as well, and sort of helping to open the pores of the scalp. It's all in that list. I don't have it on my screen, but I know it's all there. Just a couple of other things to think about. I know Kerry said about the Ningxia from an antioxidant perspective. It is really fantastic just to help with those, if you're not maybe getting all of the beautiful colors in your foods, it's in a really nice way to just help boost and support that. I really like taking the supplements, and I tend to do, I might do BLM 1 month and then I'll do sulfazyme the next month. And I'll just kind of cycle through things. I personally try not to have something all the time, because I feel that, that's not really the way, and Kerry will resonate with this. It's not the way that we're designed. We're really designed to live in seasons, and things are ebbs and flows and they change. So, and I know I'm renowned for saying this, if you eat broccoli every single day, it is no longer a superfood. It's just the food. So just thinking about sort of pulsing things. I'm also going to say that I have just purchased for the first time the Young Living protein powder, which I have not tasted yet. And I know that a lot of people are not a proponent for a protein powder. And personally, I actually quite like whey protein, because I am in a bit of a busy cycle at the moment, and I am quite happy with whey protein isolate. I think that it is it's been used for a really long time. It's basically a byproduct of cheese making. It's the like the whey that comes off when your yogurt, when your yogurt separates, your natural yogurt. It's high in protein. And if you don't have time to eat lunch, or you don't have a great digestion, or you are in a stress state, because we can't digest our food when we're stressed. But if you're in a really stressed state, but you need to make sure that you're still getting some nutrition, my computer's saying it's going to turn off. 1 second. Then I like to use something like this, which is really easily absorbed. Now, I haven't actually cracked the lid yet, but someone gave me the hot tip to get the vanilla one, because the chocolate one can only be chocolate, whereas the vanilla one, you can make chocolate or you can make it fruit flavored. So I will keep you posted on how that goes. But I've looked at the ingredients. They are very clean, and I'm certainly comfortable including that in my world. Sometimes I can't eat a lot of vegetables and things because of my digestive differences. And so I just really want to make sure that I'm providing my body with all those nutrients. I think that's probably all the things that I can think of at this stage. If there's any questions, or Kerry, if you think if you got anything.
No, I think that's pretty good. The one thing I did want to ask is, when is Stripey going to bring in a hair oil so we don't have to DIY?
Very soon.
Oh, good.
It's the answer.
So for those of you who don't know, Cress formulates her own natural skincare as well. Beautiful, absolutely incredible, nourishing serums, and hopefully soon a hair oil, because